Well, welcome. In this video, we're going to be looking at some different terminology that you've heard before, like factors and prime factorization, but it's something that we need to review for part of your assignment. So let's start out with what is a factor. So remember, a factor is referring to the numbers that we multiply together to get our answer or the product. So for example, the factors of 14 would be 1 and 14, 2 and 7. Or if we were dealing with 7, the factors of 7, my favorite number by the way, are 1 and 7. So composite numbers is a term that we use to refer to when we have more than two factors. So like for example, 14 we would say is a composite number because it has more than two factors. However, a prime number is when we have exactly two factors, 1 and itself. So like 5 is a prime number, 7 would be a prime number, 11 would be a prime number, 3. Anytime you have where only two numbers that would multiply together to give you that answer are 1 in itself, we say it's a prime number. So, composite numbers can be factored into its prime numbers, and we call this prime factorization. Now there's a couple different ways that we could do prime factorization. The first method is what I call the tree, using a tree diagram. So with the tree diagram, you just look for any two factors that would give us that answer. So for example, if we were going to come up with the prime factors of 24, I'd want to come up with any two numbers that multiply together to be 24, other than 1 and 24. Okay, so 2 and 12 would work, 3 and 8 would work, 4 and 6 would work. Well, what we're going to do is we write down what those two factors are underneath the 24. So like 4 and 6. But like I said, you could have used any one of the pairs of factors other than 1 and 24. So now I look at the 4. 4 is not prime, so we keep going until we get the prime numbers. So 4 is not prime, and the only two numbers other than 1 and 4 that multiply together to be 4 are 2 and 2. And with 6, the two prime numbers that multiply together to be 6 would be 2 and 3. Now there's another method that we could use, and that's using dividing. So we know that, for example, we could set up that little dividing box. We know that 2 goes into 24 12 times. Now we're not dividing this completely. We're doing this a little bit differently. So 2 goes into 24 12 times. And now 12 is not prime, so I'm going to keep going. Now what number goes into 12? 2 goes into 12. And so 2 goes into 12 6 times. What's the number that divides into 6 evenly? 2 goes into 6 evenly. And 2 goes into there 3 times. And so those outside pieces are the prime factors. Personally, my own personal preference, the way that I like to do it is using a factor tree. But otherwise, there's this other method. Either method works. But the prime factors of 24 are 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. All right. Why don't you guys try using either the tree diagram or that second method to find the prime factors of 40 and 36. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check to see if you have the correct answer. All right, let's see how you did. So with 40, I did this one using the tree diagram. So 40, again, there's a lot of ways you can start this one out. So yours may not look exactly like mine right now, but the end result is what's important. So you might have used 2 and 20, you might have used 4 and 10, you might have used 5 and 8. I used 4 and 10. No particular reason. 4 breaks down to be 2 times 2. 10, that breaks down to be 2 times 5. And those are all prime numbers. And so your answer would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Let's do 36. Now this one I used that other method, so you can see both. So what's a prime number that goes into 36? Make sure for this method it's important that you're using prime numbers and only prime numbers. So you could have used 2 or 3. That's why I don't like this method, is because sometimes then you have to know what all the prime numbers are. But anyhow, 2 goes into 36 18 times. All right, now what's a prime number that goes into 18? 2 works. Let's do that one. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So what's a prime number that divides into 9 evenly? 3 works. And 3 goes into there 3 times. So the prime factors of 36 would be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So there you have it. So hopefully you understand now how to work with finding the prime factors of a number. And that should be enough now for you to work on this assignment.